It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Yes, that's Los Angeles, soon to have two teams. The owners are meeting, and oh my gosh, we might get the Raiders, we might get the Chargers. I say we, but I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. That's why this show is called The Unhappy Hour, because I'm an Indians, Cavs, and Browns fan who has never celebrated a single championship in my entire 36 years of existence from the city that I grew up closest to, the largest major metropolitan area to which I associated and affiliated with. Yes, that's why it's called The Unhappy Hour, but thank you for joining us. It's a certain type of fraternity here where if you don't know the misery, well, if you don't know, then you know. Now you know. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to explain it to you because I really don't want to hear any other cities complain about their one team. Oh, the Chicago Cubs have not won a championship in X amount of years. Shut up. You had Walter Payton, you had Michael Jordan, you had the Blackhawks. Enough, Chicago. I get it. You have one bad team. Boo-hoo for you. But anyway, thanks for joining us on the TNAM Radio Network. I'm Brian Engelman. Thank you. I want you to connect with us on all of the platforms that we are on. And those will be youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Check out the homepage of thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side, three things. TNAM Radio, that's where you click play to listen live. Underneath that is our Twitter feed. We're at American_media_. And under that is our Facebook feed. Click it and sign up and like us and follow us and subscribe to us and scope us and all those things and Instagram us and blah, blah, blah. Snapchat. Yeah, we have all these things. How much of them can we use? I don't know. It's like there's a new platform coming out every week, but we're trying. And we're ramping things up in 2016. So thank you very much for being a part of it. It's been, I was telling our guest today, Shawn, criminology professor and fledgling blogger. I was telling him in pre-production that it's been a crazy week so far. Had Larry Elder on last week, great-granddaughter of Dwight Eisenhower, President Eisenhower. Laura Eisenhower was our guest yesterday, cosmic mythologist, tarot reader, investigative. Just check it out. She's interesting. It's always an interesting show when she's on, of course, today. And then tomorrow we're going to have Ford Fisher with News to Share and Solutions Institute. He is at the State of the Union. He's going to be providing a report on that. He's our guest tomorrow. Coming up on Thursday, Adam Kokesh. I cannot even waste my time, my brief limited time here describing who Adam is. Just type it in on YouTube and enjoy. It's very interesting. It's very clever. It's very thought-provoking, the stuff that Adam puts together. He's a massive lover of freedom, as is the title of his book, Freedom, that he gave to me to read so I can learn things and be smart. And then, of course, on Friday, Gerald Celente from Trends Research Journal. Man, oh man, I've been listening to him, checking out his videos for years. I'm so excited to try to get a feel for what trends we should expect in this election year, what to look forward to in the stock market, and all the other geopolitical wonderful things that he brings to the table. Now, we're going to do a very brief show. Yes,
that's two losers.
It
right?
is, Blake. Let's welcome loser number one. I feel like this is a bad game show or something on Spike.
Yep.
And loser number one.
Big guest after big guest. And then we got these. Yeah, all right.
And the rest.
Push through this Tuesday.
Hey, guys.
All right.
Hi, guys. How you doing? No, this is Blake the Eccentric Walley. Blake is ready to go embark upon a cross-country tour. You may have heard his program, Eccentric Perspective. It was on the Freedomizer Radio Network. He is relaunching, rebooting, reloading, and pretty much hitting the road now, going to cover basically anything that pops off in America, going to cover the elections, and who knows where this year is going to take him. But Blake just published an article today. Is it time to jump on the Trump bandwagon? And we'll embed that at thenewamericanmedia.com in the opinion page. But Blake, welcome back to the show. Tell everybody the best ways to stay in touch with you other than Twitter, which is at eccentric99.
Best way so far would just be my website, eccentricperspective.com.
Gotcha.
And more to come.
More to come. And also, welcome into the program, Shawn, trusted criminology professor, fledgling blogger, ham sandwich connoisseur.
Loser number two.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, I need the kazoo. No, but welcome, Shawn. Blake
you very
speaks
much.
very highly of you. You guys have known each other for a very long time, and you're also another lover of liberty and freedom, and someone who may or may not also be the sports fan.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, hey, let's talk about it. Like I said in the intro, the Minnesota Vikings and the Cincinnati Bengals went full Browns. Never go full Browns. It was just unbelievable the way that these games were lost. You guys, Blake. Let's start with Blake. Let's start with Shawn on this one. The Minnesota Vikings really laces out. It was that Dan Marino moment. From Ace Ventura. What did you make of the end of that game? Did you kind of feel like that was coming?
I didn't feel it was coming. But it's full meltdown up here now, and it's just wonderful to watch. I'm a huge Vikings fan, obviously. Grow up watching them, but at the same time, it is fun to watch people just completely lose their minds over something as meaningless as a football game. But when it went wide left, he didn't even give himself a chance at it. It was left the whole way, and you could not make it up.
Yeah, it was a rough one. And the replay showing laces out, you went, well, hey, if a kicker's ever had an out to say, hey, man, I've done this 1,000 times at this range. Look what that guy did. I'd say that holder is in trouble. Blake, what do you make of it? I guess maybe you're not in meltdown mode either. You have a bit of a different take on it, more of an optimistic one, at least a day or two ago when I talked with you about it originally.
Right, yeah, I listened to, I think Chris Collinsworth mentioned that a few times. Like every single kick there was something noteworthy. For the first three, he was lights out, but I guess that's one of his issues that on those short kicks he kind of drills it. That's just the way he does when you just really need to just kind of pop it up there. So, yeah, he put too much sauce on it, but no, I was over it right away. Now, Shawn is up in Minnesota, so he's kind of in there, and we're right on the border of, Wisconsin. So we went to school in Wisconsin, so we have a lot of friends there, and I'm sure Shawn has a lot of coworkers and a lot of other people there. So there's a lot of, Packers-Vikings rivalry right on the border there. I'm isolated out here in Vegas, so I don't have to deal with getting any crap from the Packer fans, I guess. So it's a little easier for me, and my expectations were pretty tempered. I really thought they had a great season. I'm not upset about it at all. It would have been nice to win that game, but I think the Vikings did exactly what I thought they would do and more this year. I was kind of thinking 9-7, maybe make the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game, and I was happy with that. My eyes are on 2016. I think we're going to make some improvements, upgrade the offensive line, fill in a couple of holes, and next year I expect them to actually win. So if they do blow a bad field goal, then I will be devastated. But this time, I just let it go. Boom. I was over it in about 5 seconds.
Blake and I had talked when we were in school there that we should annex the western half of Wisconsin anyway, considering they take our radio and television and newspapers and all the rest of it. So to have coworkers of mine who cross over the border, of course, to get good jobs in Minnesota, as opposed to working on the farm in Wisconsin, their smug looks on Monday after the Packers, of course, won to dismantle the Redskins, and Aaron Rodgers actually looked like Aaron Rodgers. Their smug looks walking around was tough to watch. They were very, very happy and very proud of themselves.
Yeah, the pride cometh before the fall, I suppose, and that's the nature of sports. It's like you're getting punched in the gut when you lose, and it's like you're literally invincible when you win, and it's part of the allure to be a fan because then you associate with it and you triumph with the triumphs, or you are a Cleveland fan. But anyway, another.
You take it hard, though.
I do take it hard. I'm a big sports
fan.
fan.
Viking fans, not all of us, but I think a lot of us just expect, to be disappointed. So we're set up for that. We don't let it, get to us, or maybe not. I don't know. I can't speak for you, Shawn, or maybe you can speak on that. But,
sure. No, you can speak for me. It doesn't. I've expected it. When they were 11-5, it was like that felt like a miracle. But I guess if you contrast that with what the Bengals did, it's at least the Vikings lost because of football plays type of thing, like, you missed a field goal, or you couldn't.
Josh Robinson was in there because your cornerbacks got hurt and he got burned in the end zone, or Captain Munnerlin forgot to contain.
Yes.
What's his name? The quarterback. I forgot. Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Just a few plays. Yeah, just a few little mistakes. That's pretty much was the undoing. But it was a really good game, and I'm proud of the Vikings season, regardless of how it ended like that.
Well, another Ohio team went through just one of the most bizarre endings you're ever going to see in sports. The cocky Bengals, and I can say I had the pleasure once of going to a Cleveland Browns Cincinnati Bengals game on the day that we eliminated, I believe it was the last regular season game of the year, and the Cleveland Browns, the lowly Cleveland Browns, eliminated the Cincinnati Bengals from playoff contention in their home stadium. It was beautiful. It was a lot of fun. But I'll tell you what, man, it got really heated at the end of that game against the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger got injured, and fans were throwing things at the injured Roethlisberger, who was being carted off the field. That's a little not cool. Then on the field, the Bengals took over on an interception. The game was pretty much done. Just a couple of ticks on the clock, maybe a minute and a half or something like that. And the players were so cocky on the interception, ran through the end zone and ran out of the stadium, just like, it's over, it's over. First play with the ball. They fumble it. Steelers get it. Steelers go down. They're still a little too far away from the field goal that would win them the game, except there's a penalty, and then there's another penalty, basically 30 yards. 30 yards in penalties on the same non-play from the same stupid non-football stuff. Steelers get away with everything, with their coach on the field and another guy pulling the hair of another Bengals guy. It was ridiculous, and they gift-wrapped him a win. Shawn, what was your take on that Bengals-Steelers game?
I was on phone with a good friend of mine that I went to graduate school with, actually at Bowling Green State University. So he's a professor at Miami of Ohio. He and I were on the phone during the game. He's about an hour from Cincinnati. And we were just dumbfounded. We said, not only did Burfict make this horrible tackle, it was so obvious that he was headhunting with that shoulder. I mean, it could not have been more clear to everybody. And then for him to act, I can't believe this happened. And then big shocker that Pac-Man Jones somehow couldn't keep his cool. The guy is just constantly in trouble. He's been in trouble his whole career. And the fact that and then to take to Instagram afterwards and start calling out coaches from the other team and things like that. It was just too sweet to watch. And I don't even mind the Bengals that much, to be honest with you. But boy, it was quite a scene. I was dumbfounded.
Yeah, it was like a WWE event.
It was
the way it was coming down. The one thing I would say though, the former Buckeyes player and current Pittsburgh Steeler Ryan Shazier absolutely laid out the Bengals running back a couple of plays before this all went down, and it wasn't called, and that was twice, if not three times worse a hit than Burfict put on Brown.
That is true.
And then Pac-Man Jones was saying he wasn't hurt. He looked up and he winked at us. And who knows what's true, what's not. Long story short, they found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Blake, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I think I needed a shower after that game. It was it got really ugly at the end. Yeah, and those are two guys that are notorious for character issues. I was listening to some analysis. I think it was from Rodney Harrison. I'm not 100% that Burfict was supposedly a potential first round caliber player who slipped because of character issues, and we all know Pac-Man Jones has had his history, and I guess Marvin Lewis kind of has a history of getting some of these troubled players, and I remember Ocho Cinco, and yeah, I mean, it's good to give these guys a second chance, but you got to keep them under control, and that's too bad. I mean, I can't even blame Marvin Lewis. I felt bad for the Bengals not being there with Andy Dalton. I was hoping they would go farther than that. It did not need to end like that, and they have a lot of work to do in the off season. They got to changed quite a few things around. It's not looking good in Cincy.
Well, don't forget the Cleveland Browns have Josh Gordon, who has had multiple suspensions throughout college.
For minor stuff.
Bouncing her. Well, yes, the same minor stuff. The same minor stuff that he's been. been getting punished for over and over and over and over again. Multiple colleges, multiple times in the NFL. He didn't play a single snap in the NFL last year. And who's going to throw him the ball next year? Who knows what we do with Mr. Johnny Manziel and all of his problems. So, I mean, trust me, if we're talking character issues, it's not like the pot can call the kettle too black on that one. And as a Buckeye fan, knowing that there are a couple players, Joey Bosa got ejected for targeting, and
that was weak. That was terrible.
It was bad.
Saw that play.
It was.
That wasn't nothing. I mean,
it was
in
miserable.
the NFL, that was nothing. I guess college is a lot more strict, but that was ridiculous that they would kick a player of that caliber out of the game for something that weak.
I'll give you that, but we also had our stud defensive lineman busted for prostitution or solicitation the same week. So anyway, I'm not going to sit here and say that they got to run a charity organization and that they slipped up and said damn in church one time. I'm not going to do that. But hey, such is the drama, and that's one of the 35,000 reasons why we do watch sports. Did you happen to catch the Bama game, Shawn, yesterday?
Did.
I've never seen a better onside kick in my lifetime, and that's basically what won him the game.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I was rooting for Clemson just because, first-time champion, things like that. But, and we've been lucky. There's been some great, great college championships the last, 5-10 years. There have been several good ones, and this one just did not disappoint.
Yeah. Blake, did you happen to catch that? And were you pulling for more for Clemson or for Bama?
Well, I taped it. I don't have a history of being a big college fan. I did tape it. I watched the first quarter, and then I got on the computer a while later, and after I let the tape roll for quite a while, and then I see breaking news on Yahoo, and then it says Alabama won 45-40, and I was like, damn, I didn't get to watch that. So I haven't seen a lot of the plays or anything. I do know that I wanted Clemson to win, and for the same reason that Shawn says. I know Alabama's got a ton of championships. Nick Saban's won enough. Let somebody else have it. I was hoping to get some, fresh team in there. I guess that's the only opinion that I have on it because I don't know enough.
Yeah, I'll say it was the two plays. It was the return for a touchdown. What was it, 100 yards or 90-something yards? And that onside kick. That onside kick, it felt more like a pass. It felt more like a swing pass to a running back coming out of the backfield than it was one of those erratic, smash it into the ground and see where it bounces and see where it bounces again. And it's just this melee where it's like a rugby scrum. This was beautiful. It was just kicked perfect, and it was like a pass. It just lofted right into his hands. It was seriously one of the best onside kicks I've ever seen. I'm no Alabama fan, but it was. It really sucked. I tried not to watch it because I knew Ohio State, defending champion, with one loss. Looking at some of these other teams and their one loss, it's like, who do we lose to? A top 5 team in Michigan State. It was in the rain, and it took them a last-second. Actually, it was a walk-off field goal, no time remaining, to barely squeak out a weird win in terrible weather conditions against us, who had been preseason number one reigning champions. And I just thought our one loss, while we might not have had a signature win, I don't know how you leave the champion out of it and actually say, well, we got this right with the top 4 teams. I don't think they got it right. I feel like the Buckeyes, yes, it would have been great to be Big Ten champion. It would have been great to have a super huge signature win. The win against Michigan was a pretty solid win, though. Michigan blasted in their bowl game, and they had a very good, if not quasi great year, and we beat them soundly when we were priming up for the playoffs, and we got left out of it. So for me, it was pretty hard to watch this, just knowing, we beat Alabama last year. We could have absolutely beat them again this year. We just weren't firing on all cylinders. It wasn't our year. So I tried not to pay attention, and I'll tell you what, the second half, it sucked me in, and there was so many good back-and-forth plays and such good action. I actually really found myself enjoying it. Of course, I was pulling for Clemson, the underdog, and I got no satisfaction there. Let's do this because we're going to keep this show short and keep things moving around because we're kind of recapping things that have already happened anyway, we want to swing over to the State of the Union and check that out as close to live as possible, because live tweeting all of the fallacies and logic is certainly a fun thing to do, and I like to participate in that. I don't like being like Blake, where you get that breaking news, here's the quote of the night, and you go, oh man, I wanted to see that. So anyway, we'll wrap it up on this. Chargers and Raiders may be coming back to Los Angeles. You think that's good for the league, or do you think that this proposal needs to be tabled a little bit longer? We'll start with you, Shawn.
I think it's good. I mean, it's the second biggest market in the country, and to not have a team. I don't know. It could be one of three teams still, or is St. Louis out of it now?
Some owners are meeting. They're having their annual meeting, and some vote came back that the proposal that would bring the Chargers and Raiders in is the one that they prefer. It means something, but we're far from actually locking things in here, is my understanding. It's getting close, and they want to get this done. It's been in the works for years, but we're not quite at the decision phase yet. What about you, Blake? What are your thoughts on it?
I would not want to see the Chargers move. I mean, I don't know if that just doesn't seem right. That doesn't sit right with me at all. That's a historical team. You got to keep them in San Diego, in my opinion. The Raiders have obviously been in L.A., and so have the Rams, so there's some history there. They've already got two teams in the Bay Area. I haven't really studied it enough, but I guess I would just assume you could move the Raiders to L.A., because then what are you going to do with St. Louis? Are they going to be – someone's going to have to come there at some point, because that's a pretty big market too. And it's sad to see the Rams already fall apart. Not that it's that exciting anymore. They had a great run with Kurt Warner and Marshall Falk and Isaac Bruce. And
the greatest show on turf. The greatest show on turf. Yep.
Now, they might be out to L.A. Even though I think they've got a bright future with Gurley and the coach Jeff Fisher. I don't know. I think that would be a weird move, but like I said, I haven't really dug into it much. But I mean, if you ask me, I'd say move the Raiders back to L.A. and leave everything else as it is.
Well, the idea of having two teams sharing the same state-of-the-art stadium, not trying to cram, a football team into the baseball stadium, and it's like, oh, he's at the 30. Oh, he trips over second base. No, this again. What a horrible thing to happen on Dozen Egg Night. From basketball. But anyway, it makes a lot of sense if you have a major metropolitan area like a Los Angeles and you have a state-of-the-art facility like that. It makes a lot of sense to do two teams that can, maybe their fan bases can support two teams, and that way every other week you have a home game. So this thing is always rocking every single week. Now the people impacted by the traffic, that's going to be something different, because if there aren't significant upgrades made, it's really going to put a strain and a stranglehold on traffic, because it's so bad out here. I can't even put it into words. But I'll leave it on this, and then we'll switch gears and cover the news of the day that are breaking and happening, kind of bounce around, do a top story extravaganza. My final point would be that if I trace the lineage of the Rams back far enough, they originated, I believe, in the 30s in Cleveland as the Cleveland Rams. So if I were there might be a little technicality where I could root for the Rams if they came back. I basically don't like seeing any city lose their team. I can say that being a Browns fan, watching them go to Baltimore. I don't want to see that. But it's a unique situation where the Rams came from L.A., and the Chargers came from L.A., and San Diego's basically L.A.'s market.
Sorry, hold on. The Chargers were originally in L.A. before San Diego?
I didn't say that. Did I? Shawn, did I say that?
That's not what I heard.
But did they, though? Sorry. Because this is a question.
I don't recall. Boy.
Hang on. If only we had a device that could access all the world's information instantaneously.
While you're looking that up, let me ask you this. If Oakland and San Diego both go there, they're both in the same division. Is that still the plan then? So they could end up playing on Monday Night Football in the same stadium, in their own state. You see what I mean? It just seems odd that they would move two teams from the same division to the same city. I don't know that I've gone that far back. Wait, let me see here.
I found it. It's they played 1 year. Their first year was in
59?
L.A. in 1960, and then they moved to San Diego in 1961.
So they are from
yeah,
Los Angeles.
Not a.
There we go. I got it here.
Yeah, you're right. You are right. But it was just a 1 year.
Yeah, that's like being born at Podunk Hospital, and then you go, you become, I don't know, whatever, and then you gotta. Hey, we could make a Kenya joke. Anyone want to make a Kenya joke about that one? Come on, it's State of the Union. It's our last chance. Yeah, it says here, the club began to play in 1960 as a charter member of the American Football League and spent its first season in Los Angeles, California before moving to San Diego in 61. By the way, I was at Qualcomm Stadium for a Charger-Browns game. I'll tell you what, I went there this year, a few months ago.
I know.
Shut up. You know how it worked out. I threw my custom jersey into the trash before it was fished out. Yeah, I was so tired of the losing. But anyway,
you guys almost had it. There's like
I know.
You guys had the classic Browns.
We went full Browns. Never go full Browns.
I do have to say, I got to go to a Browns game when I lived in Ohio, and because I had that same friend I was talking about before, he was friends with a Philadelphia Eagles player. They grew up together, so he got us tickets when they came to town. The Browns fans are awesome. I'll give you credit for that. I mean, they are diehard, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good environment. They were really good to us, even though we were in Eagles gear because of the friendship with the player from the other team. But so I do feel bad for you guys with the long suffering, because it is a very good fan base. Yeah,
it's very special. It's very few people understand the amount of misery we've gone through. It's truly unique. What is Mike Polk Jr.? He's a comedian. He says something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, but I get it pretty close. He goes, "It is statistically more unlikely that you can be this consistently bad than it would be for you to accidentally occasionally be good. The probability is staggering." And it's the truth. It makes no sense how the Cleveland Indians of the 90s couldn't get a title. How the Browns kept running into John Elway in a drive and the fumble, and then the team's taken away, and Belichick wins. Our coach, when it's taken away, he's winning with the Patriots. And then when the team's taken to Baltimore, they win multiple championships. Two of them. They've won two of them. We've got, it just goes down the line. How did the Cavs not put something together with LeBron the first time? And now that we have him back, is it going to be like Jenny at the end of Forrest Gump? Yeah, they get back together, but you just can't help but think of the worst as a Cleveland sports fan, and I don't know. I went to the Chargers game and I just said, wow, that is the home of the world's smallest Jumbotron. I'm going to call it the Minitron. Like, their replay, they've known they've been coming to LA for a long time. They have not upgraded that stadium. I was pretty impressed with how crappy it was. And when I looked at, when I squinted and pulled out my binoculars to see their Jumbotron off in the distance, I think it was 2 counties over, I kind of knew right there, like, they are not making long-term plans at this place. But, I hate...
what's up with that? This is Qualcomm. Aren't they? They're a global semiconductor company that markets wireless telecommunication. You would think they'd have something to do with, like, cutting-edge technology. They want to have some kind of cool Jumbotron that would showcase, what they do as a company. Apparently that's not the case.
I've gone to a lot of these music conventions, and we got another one coming up, and, we'll get you some good videos when we come back. But been to some of these things, and they all have, like, their dinners. They'll have, like, Gibson. I saw Ted Nugent performing live at the Gibson Custom Shop in Nashville, Tennessee. I saw Seven Dust perform upstairs at a cigar bar acoustic. These wacky concerts and weird scenarios. I saw Heart performing a couple years ago in front of a room with 300 people. But anyway, I went to one of these, and it was sponsored by one of these big speaker and music instrument affiliations, these companies, a lot of different musical stuff, and they're running all the PA stuff, and the PA was garbled, it was crackly, it was quiet, there was feedback, and I'm just going, you gotta be kidding me, just like your Qualcomm thing, like, seriously, that's the best you can do? It was pretty embarrassing, and I won't name their name because the food and drinks were delicious. But I digress. Okay, so let's do this.
That's because they're losing a lot of money, so I guess they probably can't afford it.
Yeah.
They still have the rights to the stadium, but all right. Well, I guess that explains something.
Well, anyway, talking about losing your rights to things because you're losing money and worried about spending too much money. Look at the United States. We're in a lot of trouble with the amount of money that's owed in unfunded liabilities, plus how much we're running behind every year and how much that credit card tab is growing. It's doubled under this guy. Barack Obama is set to give his State of the Union address, and we want to get to that as quickly as possible. So we're going to make a hard pivot here, and we're going to wrap up the Unhappy Hour. Special guest today is Shawn, criminology professor and fledgling blogger, and of course Blake the eccentric Walley. I'm Brian Engelman. We're going to hit reset, and we're going to go over to what?
Breaking news right off the wire. Going back to Cali, the Rams return to Los Angeles and may be joined by the Chargers as the league owners voted on relocation. Hot off the wire 1 minute ago.
Going back to Cali, Rams return to Los Angeles. Blake, that's about the only thing you could have done to wrap up my beautiful outro there. I mean, I had it all. I mean, it was like I was folding the Christmas present perfect. The tape was in the right place. I had my little name tag, and I'm ready to set the bow down. And you come tearing in. You dive on the package like it's like your Secret Service, and that's a suspicious item thrown toward me. And you say, no, and you rip it apart. I'm going, dude, come on. I just wrapped this. Oh, that was a hand grenade. Thanks, man. Rams headed back to Los Angeles. Chargers have an option to join. The St. Louis Rams are headed to Inglewood, California, the result of a vote made by the NFL's owners on Tuesday. The Chargers may also join the Rams, but have until January 16, 2017. That's a year. To agree to lease terms with the Rams, according to sources. If the Chargers decline, they're not going to decline. Oh, but if they decline, the Oakland Raiders, another former LA tenant, can link up with the Rams, sources said. The Rams will play in Los Angeles in the 2016 season. I can root for the Rams! Wait a minute, this just happened. Because I don't want to... Anyway, that's interesting. But will not be moved in their new Inglewood home until the 2019 season. So where are they going to play? They're going to Carson... Okay, Chargers Raiders, that would have put them in a stadium in Carson, California, was the other proposal that was being considered. Both the Chargers and Raiders get an extra $100 million for stadiums to permanently stay in their current markets. The vote was passed 30-2, but only needed the approval of 24 of the league's 32 owners. Former Rams running back Eric Dickerson took to Twitter to celebrate the franchise's return to Los Angeles. Actually, let me tweet this out. Oh, I got to log in because I had to reset my system here. It says, "Welcome home, LA Rams 2016. Earlier in the day, the NFL's 6-owner committee on LA opportunities earlier recommended the Chargers-Raiders project, which would have built a $1.7 billion stadium in Carson. Rams owner what's his name? Stan Kroenke? Am I saying that right? I should probably... Kroenke had proposed to build a $1.86 billion stadium in Inglewood. Blah, 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 blah. Inglewood project. Disney CEO Bob Iger is included as a consultant to the group. Disney is the parent company of ESPN, who's publishing this article. So there you go. 32 teams were represented. Tennessee Titans owner was the only owner not at the meetings in Houston, although I heard a report that neither was Jimmy Haslam of the Browns. All right, breaking! I guess that's kind of perfect, yo. I think we have a new title for today's program. Rams headed back to Los Angeles. Look, we went through that whole episode not knowing what it was going to be titled, and then synchronicity happens. Isn't it a beautiful thing, Shawn?
That's wonderful. It's almost like we planned it that way.
What if we are planning this, but we got flashy thinged and we don't remember that we already planned this? Ooh, Blake?
Now we're talking.
Oh, like the Matrix, like we've already... made the decision, or we've already made the choice, and now we have to figure out why, or something like that.
Yeah, man. It's a choose your own adventure, but we wrote the book, and then we got flashy thinged like Men in Black, and then you're like, oh, it's almost like we planned it, or did we plan it? Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. I love when Peter does that.
On Family Guy.
On Family. Dun dun dun. Anyway, okay, moving on. Okay. Rams are headed back to L.A., developing story. I don't know. I just from skimming this, I don't know. Maybe they're going to play at USC at the Coliseum. Actually, that would be interesting. I would probably go to that. I would probably go check one of those out. Anyway, Interesting day, interesting life. We'll be back on the other side because we're going to get to some of the news of the day, the State of the Union. Donald Trump, is it time to jump on his bandwagon? Iran is holding 2 boats and holding Americans. They say they're going to give them back just in a moment, but that means they're currently being held captive. Kim Davis, you remember her? She's at the State of the Union today. Common Core. Ooh, did you see this video that just popped out? Bernie Sanders passes Hillary in Iowa. Carly and Rand are booted. We're going to talk about this on the other side. I'm Brian Engelman, and this is the New American Media. This was the Unhappy Hour, and this is now
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. If you're listening live, that took just a matter of seconds. If you're listening after the fact, hey, maybe we split this up in post-production, or maybe we didn't. I don't know, but I think we'll do one of each. Maybe we'll split one into Agree to Disagree, which is this program, where we talk about religion, sports, religion, politics, finance, all the things you're not supposed to talk about with people inside of a bar. You're allowed to talk sports most of the time. So maybe we'll splice this up in post-production, or we'll keep it together, or both. We just did a show covering all the interesting stuff in NFL football with the Bengals and Vikings snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. 2 improbable losses, and then 2 amazing plays by Alabama on special teams that allowed them to win the national championship yesterday. And as we were doing the show, guess what? Breaking news, it looks like, according to ESPN, or according to sources quoted by ESPN, the Rams are headed back to Los Angeles, and the Chargers have an option to join. So, breaking news, and we're going to check that out and follow that as it develops. Make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. On the right-hand side of our homepage of thenewamericanmedia.com is the TNM radio button. That's where you click play to listen to this show live when we broadcast on Twitter and Facebook. On our homepage on the right-hand side is also where you sign up and you link up with our Facebook feed, or you can do a search for The New American Media with spaces in between. So do all of those things. Check out our previous content, including our earlier show from today, and check out just in the past few days, we have some interviews that you can check out. Laura Eisenhower was on yesterday. Larry Elder was on last Friday. Tomorrow we're going to have Ford Fisher from News to Share and the Solutions Institute. He is at the State of the Union right now. He's our guest tomorrow. Then on Thursday we have Adam Kokesh, and on Friday Gerald Salente. So link up with us, check out our archive, leave some comments, and have a good time. We are joined on today's program with Shawn Trustin, criminology professor and fledgling blogger, and Blake the eccentric Walley, who is getting ready to tour the country in a Winnebago, kind of like on the road again, on the road Jack Kerouac. He's going to go out and cover the Iowa Hawkeye, the Hawkeye, and the RNC convention and whatever, whether it's a Bundy Ranch or a Ferguson or a Baltimore, he's mobile and he can go cover this live. So as the next weird thing pops off, you can follow him, and you can follow him on Twitter at eccentric99. Check out his blog at eccentricperspective.com. Gentlemen, where do we start other than the State of the Union? Shawn, it has been 7 years. This is the last one of these we have to sit through. Let's look back on the presidency of Barack Obama. Tell us who this man was to the United States. I know we have a year left, but let's reflect on who he was and the direction he's pushing us during this final year.
Well, it's been said, and I don't. It's not so lightly either. I mean, he could go down as the worst ever. I don't think he is. I think he's in the bottom 3 probably. But
who else is in the top 2? Who else would you put up there?
I think, Jimmy Carter and FDR for me for sure that'd be the top 3, and I don't know who would be worse or where.
Woodrow Wilson, perhaps?
Woodrow Wilson was up there for sure too. I mean, that's easily the top 4. It's just a matter of what order you'd put him in.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's frightening. The only good thing about tonight is, like you said, it's the last one. We don't have to worry about it much longer.
Right.
And I've taken a lot of heat from people for voting third party and saying, well, you're part of the reason that the guy got in, and then you have to explain to him that it wouldn't have been that much different if we had McCain in there, and it surely wouldn't have been that much different if we had Romney in there. So I mean, I guess if people want to blame people that vote third party and things like that, but I've definitely taken a turn to be a libertarian now, and I mean that's kind of who I support. I could see myself with couple of the Republican nominees, I consider voting for them. But, I mean, you said it before in the open, man. I mean, you're talking about massive, deficits, massive debt, $210 trillion in unfunded liabilities. You can't even comprehend how we're going to begin to even crack away at that. And then to hear some of the, the talking heads when they talk about, again, more war, of course, or even setting up safe zones. I've heard of that in overseas and things like that. Like somehow that's not putting boots on the ground, or that's not being engaged in another country's affairs and things like that. But looking back, I mean, it's been disastrous. It's even worse than I thought it would be, and I expected it to be the worst thing ever, and it's actually worse than that. So the economy's on its back. I mean, there's just nothing. I can't think of anything really positive that's come out of it, other than at least it's let us see what the Democrat and what the progressive left and what Saul Alinsky. I mean, I don't think we would have known what Saul Alinsky was if it wasn't for Obama, so that's a good thing. It's woken people up, which is good, and it's definitely woken me up.
Yeah, that might be it. Blake, take that same question then. What good has come out of the 7 years, and how do you summarize Obama and talk about where you think he's trying to take us in this last year?
Well, I think his only accomplishments maybe winning on a couple of social issues, which is good for certain people, but I don't think is not lighting up the White House in a rainbow flag isn't exactly the biggest accomplishment. But I'm glad some people get to have more rights than they used to. I'm happy for them.
Well,
but,
and Blake, that's
all
something
you accomplish in 8 years.
That's something that happened during his term. It's not like Obama pushed for that. That was a Supreme Court. Yeah, he put people on the Supreme Court. But when you step away and look at it, it's like that he didn't even do that. It's kind of like when you say the economy under Bill Clinton was great, and you go, hang on a second, no. Do you realize that the home desktop computer revolution began under this guy, and he just kind of floated on the wave? He somehow was smart enough not to screw it up, but you can't say one thing about this event occurred under his watch, so it's an accomplishment, if they kind of had nothing to do with it other than Al Gore claiming to have invented the internet. The accomplishment you just listed, Blake, that's not even something that Obama can say, look what I did here. He changed his opinion and it evolved, but he didn't do that.
That's a good point, Brian. I guess I'm trying to give him a little credit for something.
No soup for you. No soup for you. No dice.
Well, here's the thing.
Sorry. You're taking it all away, Brian. I'm trying to be nice to our wonderful POTUS.
Right.
One accomplishment that I've seen in all these years is, So I don't. You know what? I really don't know what to make of this. It's been a spectacular disaster. The entire administration, and I would say the worst administration ever. Just barely ahead of the Bush-Cheney administration, which I can't. They set the bar as high as you could get. And Obama somehow found a way to make everything worse.
Shawn, you were starting to say?
Well, no, I was going to say the gay marriage thing. That was a good opportunity. At least I took advantage.
Wait, hold on. You're all garbled now. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Wait, which way do we have him? We have Shawn on Skype. Shawn, we're calling you right back. I found with Skype that when it gets wacky, just press pause, redo it. Now, of course, if I had a producer, to borrow a phrase from Hugh Hewitt.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
All right, yeah, we'll try that. I think we can hear you now. You were starting to say, Shawn.
Yeah, I was going to say about the gay marriage ruling. It was a good opportunity for somebody with a libertarian bent or a libertarian like myself to be able to frame the discussion from the standpoint of, wouldn't it be nice to not have to wait for 5 unelected officials to decide, what 2 people can do in the privacy of their own home, kind of thing. It was just fascinating that we're waiting on bated breath for these people that are infallible human beings, of course. I mean, they're just like the rest of us. To watch us have to wait for this weird kind of creepy. Well, is the government going to say it's okay? That I have full advantage that I put up for saying, here's some from the Libertarian Party. Look into this.
Man, Shawn, I'm following you, and I like the point you're making, but it's just as garbled. I'm going to try it one more time to try this. This is why I don't even like using Skype. No offense, Skype, but you do this to me, and it's weird. It's tough to... Here, let me...
Look at a few bugs. Yep.
Well, it happens.
Right.
Well, hopefully we're okay here.
Oh, I don't know if we are. Say something, Shawn.
Well, good evening, John.
Try it one more time, but you were saying how ridiculous it was that Americans have been reduced to waiting on bated breath whether or not the government will allow us to do something in the privacy of our own damn homes.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. That's the only point was, if the gay marriage ruling, one of the benefits of it was that we got to actually put that information out there that, hey, why are we waiting for, these unelected, judges to decide? It's just such a creepy, weird thing. And what have we sunk to that's where we're at as a nation? I don't know.
We're begging for porridge. So,
yeah, exactly
may I have some more porridge? Okay, yeah, please. This one's Soylent Green, but it's on me, kiddo. Anyway, so the State of the Union, we'll see where he ranks as the worst president in all of history. I don't know if you guys happen to notice. I'll start with you, Blake, but Kim Davis has been invited, at least as the latest, as far as during show prep. I wasn't able to determine which congressperson left her tickets, but they remained anonymous. What do you make of Kim Davis being there? Because that was she was at the center. The Kentucky law clerk, of course, who did not want to issue same-sex marriages. What do you make of that move?
Okay, yeah, sorry, I lost you on there because I'm not that familiar. I wasn't sure if she was the abortion queen from Texas or if that was that lady who you just mentioned. That's not one of the big issues for me, so I wasn't. I really shouldn't be qualified to speak on that one. So I'll let you guys.
I'm seeing here on Twitter as Obama delivers State of the Union, controversial Kentucky clerk Kim Davis is in a gallery thanks to ticket from Ohio Representative Jim Jordan. So there, at least that's coming out. What do you make of it, Shawn?
Okay, I remember that story, but it just wasn't something that I was all that passionate about. So we'll kick it over to Shawn, I suppose.
Right. I was very passionate about it from the standpoint of that you should not lock somebody up for something like that. I mean, that's insane to me. That with my teaching and things like that, I mean, we shouldn't be locking up, probably 90% of the people we do. Considering what we can do, but to lock somebody up for that it's just so frightening, the power, again, that they have to be able to do things like that. Should she be there? I mean, I don't know, it's kind of a statement thing like that. And Jim Jordan's usually pretty good. But I probably would have refrained from inviting her. I mean, she doesn't offer anything really up other than she held to her convictions in the face of a bunch of cameras and protesters and things like that. But I don't know if that's enough of a reason to give her a seat there. It was an interesting story. She should not have had that job if she was unable to carry out the duties of it, if she refused to. And she's an elected official, and the voters have a way to be able to impeach her on that type of thing when they're an elected official. So that probably should have been left to the people. But I don't have an issue with her being there. I wouldn't have done it. It's an interesting story. She should not have been locked up for what she did, and that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and if you're going to change the rules in the middle of the game and force them out and say you can no longer do this position, it kind of seems like you should have some sort of exemption provision where it's like, all right, if you choose to fire this person, you can't, and you can give them an equivalent job and they can do another job elsewhere. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. And the flip side of it is, why is government involved in this in the first place? That's a hard argument for me to really come down hard on in defense of traditional marriage. I mean, I was raised a Christian. I do believe that the definition of the word marriage, it is what it is. I support civil unions. This is never a popular opinion for some reason. I don't know why people don't understand, but I make the analogy with gardening. You can grow an onion, you can grow some carrots. So you have onions on one side, carrots on another side. None of the onions or carrots are better than the other. None are, they're both equally nutritious and providing minerals, nourishment to the body. They both have green tops when they grow. They both need water. They both need sun. They both need aeration in the soil. I don't know why it's so tough to just say that's a civil union and this is a marriage. To me, just define it something different and great. There's two people that want to look after each other for the rest of their lives. more power to him. If there's a God, if that God cares about this type of thing, let that God talk to those two people at the end of it all. Seriously, I have so much other stuff going on in this world. Yeah, I find it hard to give a damn about that, frankly. Do your thing.
Yep.
Do your thing, and I'll do mine. I just, one is a carrot and one's an onion. I don't want to redefine onions to make them all carrots or vice versa. It's just, yours is a civil union because there's already a word called marriage, and it's already a man and a woman, but here, same rights and same protections, and go. You know, I don't know. I'm surprised.
I agree. Well, yeah, just call it a civil union or AKA a gay marriage, but officially it'll be known as a civil union. I don't know why there's a problem with that either. That just doesn't make any sense.
What say you, Shawn?
Well, I mean, I see both sides of it. Again, from my standpoint, is that the government shouldn't be involved in any of it anyway. I mean, civil union or otherwise. I mean, people want to enter into a contract and things like that, and a company wants to enter into a contract with their employee on how they would divide benefits up and things like that. That's none of my business whatsoever. Two people want to, you know, get married or enjoy that union or call themselves a civil union. That's just fine with me.
Yeah, I could understand that. Well, hey, let's bounce to this undercover Common Core video. I'm just going to let it speak for itself. Maybe I'll pause it intermittently. It goes about a minute. There's so much good footage here. I could play the whole thing. I'm not. I'm just going to play a clip for fair use purposes, YouTube. So don't flag this damn thing. Jeez, these guys in the TPP and just trying to censor you every step of the way. It's incredible. But anyway, this is information. Let's get the right background here. Shawn, do you know enough of the background to kind of set this up for people?
I do. You know, Keith had talked about this on Alex Jones' show a few months ago that he was going to release a video about education. I was kind of hoping that it would be about Common Core, and it turns out that it was. But he's able to get a few Brooklyn or New York City school teachers on camera. I didn't see much of that. But he did get a account executive, a high-up account executive with like the second largest school book publishing company in the country on tape, talking about the fact that, you know, it's not about education of the kids, it's all about money, and the fact that they have a lobby that's able to now, because of Common Core, only certain textbooks are going to be able to be printed. And of course, I'm sure the lobbyists give plenty of money to the government to decide what's going to be in those textbooks, and that they're going to be the ones that get to print those textbooks. So it's, you know, it's crony capitalism at its worst. It's exactly why we're in the state we're in. That's exactly why Solyndra got, you know, however many hundreds of millions of dollars and things like that. And you know, when I texted with Blake about it to ask him if he had seen it yet, it pisses me off as a father of two kids, knowing that in a couple of short years my kids are going to be in school, in public schools. It's frightening. It really is frightening. And like you said, it's a 7.5 minute video that you have to see. I'm sure the minute does it more than enough justice.
Yeah, and you know, there's no need for these things to cost this much, except for the government being involved in cronyism that's artificially jacking it up. I mean, if Martha Stewart goes to jail for trading a couple of shares that she thinks is going to go down, what do you do to the people that are rigging this system to artificially inflate the prices of these textbooks to scam all the middle class people who are trying to give their kids a better life than themselves? What happens to those people, those politicians, when they're busted doing this in this scheme to keep things as expensive as possible and education as difficult as possible? If there's one thing we should just be able, okay, animal abuse and intentionally trying to make it more difficult to keep our nation's kids informed, intelligent, bright, free thinkers. I think we should kind of be able as a nation, red or blue or right or left, to kind of agree on those things. But yeah, let's let the video play for itself here. I'll play a clip at a time.
Again, money.
You seem like you're in it for the kids, though. You seem like, you know, I mean,
I hate kids.
I hate kids.
All this is so new to me, and what I've seen is money between the publishing companies, the Common Core publishing companies, and the schools.
Joke.
Is that true?
Bullshit. And the thing
Now this is the teacher. She says it's a joke. It's bullshit.
is, what they do is they create some new system that sucks, sell more books, and then we have to learn something new, and the student, it's bullshit. It's all about the money. What are you, crazy? It's all about the money. You don't think that the educational publishing companies are in it for education, do you? No, they're in it for the money.
The publishing companies are the winners in this game.
We can stop it right there. Blake, what's your take on this? Shawn was saying he's a father of 2 kids. I am not. I'm a father of a cat. As a non-father, but someone that watches over this stuff, what's your take on this?
I've never been a fan of Common Core. I don't recognize the Federal Department of Education. I think that's a big scam, and it disgusts me that like the state schools, waiting, they can't get money from the Fed unless they adopt their disgusting programs. I say let the states compete. I want to see that. And, and it probably has something to do with, making money off these textbooks, and also probably an ulterior motive of even, dumbing these kids down. When you get to the highest levels and you look at the work of, Charlotte Iserbyt during the Reagan administration, kind of digging into that and the way that they were teaching the kids. They're not really educating them as like they should, and teaching them critical thinking skills. They're just kind of messing them up now. And so Common Core is unpopular, and kudos to O'Keefe for exposing this mess. So hopefully something will be done there.
I actually talked with Laura Eisenhower about this yesterday, about growing up in the schools and knowing, how quick did you realize you didn't fit into this system? You were getting in trouble and going to the principal's office. You were this, that, and the other because they were just trying to smash you into a predetermined lump of clay, and I didn't want to be smashed that way. To kind of sum it up as quickly as possible, there's a lot of people that resent being turned into worker bee drones, being turned into just cogs in a machine. I mean, is that something, Shawn, that you're considering with your children, whether you're going to homeschool, whether you're going to private school, whether you're going to participate in the PTA or get involved on that level? What do you do with kids? How do you...
Well, that'll be... we'll end up sending them, but that'll be the piece, is that to be involved, run for school board, things like that, get involved at that level. Don't miss a PTA meeting. Let them know what you think. And, don't get me wrong. I don't have any issue with the textbook lady saying it's all about the money. That's what their job is. Their job is to make money, this textbook place. But it's not made in a fair way. It's made in a way that, the textbook publisher gets some inside information, or they get the crony piece of it through the government, and that's how they make their money. And I have no problem with them competing on the open market, and the best textbook wins out in the school, and the teachers decide, hey, we really like this for math, or we really like this. I don't have an issue with them making $1 trillion if they're putting a product out there and they're not getting some weird free government kind of information,
my concern on that, Shawn, is, okay, I get that, and let the open market do that, of course, when they're so linked up and the decision-making process is controlled by your buddy who you've already bought off. That makes it a little different. But really, how many times do we need a new book to explain math? It's not going anywhere. And if you tried to do that double+1 Common Core math crap yet, I sat there looking at it. I'm a fairly intelligent, quasi-above average, on the intellectual scale. Now I'm sounding stupid as I'm trying to figure out some big words here. But I'm a pretty smart dude. Okay, I'm a smart dude. And I'm sitting here looking at this, and I've done plenty of math problems over the day and little mind tricks and Sudoku and all these things, and I'm sitting here looking. I'm going, okay, so how do you answer this? And they're trying to explain it to me, and I'm just baffled. I probably spent 15 minutes trying to understand I go, so you're guessing? You just guess, and then you don't get, no, but that's guessing. No, but it's, okay, I spent about 10-15 minutes, and I walked away with a headache and went, why in the world did this need to be redone to explain this to kids? Why do you need a new textbook with a new way to do math? The old way worked just fine. Am I becoming a fuddy-duddy?
No, you're exactly right.
Because Bill Gates loves your children. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I have friends that have kids.
You think he could have bought them? You think he could have just paid for it all if he really cared that much?
Oh yeah, Bill Gates loves them, of course. Thank you, Mr. Gates. May I have some more? No, it's just very weird. I didn't need a new textbook for this, and if you can get this stuff digitized and you just say, hey, we're gonna buy this as a school and we're gonna keep it for a decade, the content's not gonna change. It's how you teach math. Like seriously, how much is history changing in a decade? You can have an updated current events history thing covering from 2012 to 2015 every 3 years or something, but why do we need to keep finding new expensive ways to make education difficult for the kids? That's where I jump in and just I can't understand it.
Yeah, and the as somebody who I teach the soft sciences kind of thing with the social sciences, so the benefit for me with having multiple choices in books is when I decide stuff for my classes is that I get to look at several different options and I can decide the one that best fits my style of teaching and what I think the best way to learn is and things like that. So it works out very well for me to have multiple options.
Okay.
If somebody just said, here's the book on juvenile justice or here's the book on alternatives to incarceration or whatever other courses I teach, that would be pretty difficult for me because, again, everybody has different learning styles. I know what my style is. I know the style of book that I prefer. So to have those options out there has been nothing but beneficial to me.
Now, I would wonder on that same point, then, okay, just like we don't want to cram all the students into the same box, all right, give the teachers the ability to pick the book.
Yes,
okay,
exactly right.
Fine. Now I get where you're going there. Now let me take it a step from there then. Then once you as a professor pick it, shouldn't there be some sort of limitation that could lock you into, I don't know, for example, let's say if you decide you're going to pick a book, you're going to pick it and you have to keep it for 4 years. You have to, or does all the information change so drastically in 4 years that we have to we have to go through the new groundbreaking research into protons and neutrons because it's totally upside down and the world is flat all of a sudden? Or 7 times 7 is not 49. It's something a little different. We got to dig a little deeper.
Sure, when you're speaking about the hard sciences, you're exactly right. You made a perfect point. 7 times 7 is always 49. You don't need 15 different books to choose from. There are different approaches to how to teach students and things like that. But I don't teach that, so I can't speak to those books. And I can only speak to college level books on what the ones I select. But in the social sciences, it doesn't change that rapidly. And the same information ends up in the book, in most of the books. But again, it's just the different types of, what other multimedia options do I have and things like that. And I wouldn't have an issue with them saying, hey, if you select this book and we're going to buy a gross of them, you have to keep this book for however many years. Luckily, the place I teach is a little more flexible than that. I can select the book and they only order a very small number of them from the publisher. So it doesn't end up costing the student, it's not something exorbitant and things like that. So I've been lucky with that.
Well, and with everything being on Kindle and stuff, the digital forms, and it can be so much cheaper. You don't need to go buy a $130 book if you can just download, you click this thing, and then all of a sudden you get, fine, pay your $5, $10, $15, $20 for the ebook if you need to. But you shouldn't be forced into hard copies. You shouldn't be forced into it's just a way to scrape money off the top. And basically, I'll just leave it at, I can't wait to watch the last 6.5, 7 minutes of this video. It's on Veritas Visuals. I'll put it right now onto the New American Media. It's on our Facebook feed now. You can go there and find it. Blake, something also kind of breaking today. You definitely alerted us to the Rams coming back to Los Angeles during our previous segment. But right now, breaking, 10 American sailors were being held in Iranian custody after 2 small U.S. naval craft entered Iran, the territorial waters surrounding Iran, defense officials said Tuesday. Secretary of State John Kerry told CNN's Dana Bash that he expected the sailors to be released very soon, but would not be more specific. He was speaking at the Capitol ahead of the president's State of the Union address tonight. So, on the day of the State of the Union, this happens in Iran. What do you make of this? Do you think it's just some sort of coincidental, no big deal thing, or should we really be concerned about relaxing sanctions against this nation, or do you feel like President Obama is he's on their team, doing this intentionally to weaken us and maybe something even much more sinister down the road?
That's a good question because it's a news story, so I haven't really dug into it a whole lot yet. So I guess I'll be looking for updates, and we'll see if he addresses it during the State of the Union. I don't know. I guess I don't really know if I like his dealings with Iran or this nuclear agreement, and sounds like we got a pretty lousy deal, and they didn't get the hostages that we already had there. And, as much as it'd be okay to work at some kind of negotiation with Iran, I don't know if nuclear is even the way to go these days. And they could find some other method, especially after, Chernobyl and Fukushima. We've had problems, so why would we want to deal with that? And then with their wacky ideology, they got some good people that are stuck under a horrible regime over there. So, and all the money they're getting, I mean, I just don't like anything this president does, so I don't trust anything he does, and I don't know how this is going to work out or what's going on with it. So you guys are going to have to fill me in on what this story is all about.
What about you? Do you feel are you comfortable, Shawn, in the purity of heart of President Barack Obama and his interest for America and Americans on a global stage, or have you reached the point, as some people have, basically that this president is either completely incompetent or intentionally trying to take us down? It's becoming harder and harder to not be able to look at one or other of the options and say, well, it's either this or this. I mean, it might be a third option, but I've kind of narrowed it down here. What do you make about Obama's global leadership? Do you think he's bungling a bunch of things? Do you think he's doing a great job? I guess that's your third option. Or do you think he's doing this intentionally and the worst is yet to come?
Well, I can promise it's not the third option. I'm sure it's somewhere far the other side of that. The thing that's interesting to me is that the nuclear deal should have never even been talked about until they said, give us the people that you're holding back. That should be you walk in the room and that's what you should say, is that this negotiation won't start until you give us our people back that you're holding. And then from there, if they want to negotiate, and I'm with Blake, it's a little spooky to me that they want to have, what's the real reason they want to have nuclear, things like that. But again, you have to start negotiating from a position of strength where we're not going to even talk to you until X happens, and the X should have been the release of these people. And the fact that he didn't, and then was so proud of himself after the deal, and those people are still sitting there, it doesn't surprise me that this. I don't know how long these guys are going to sit. I could see Iran holding them for weeks, and then just saying, "Well, this just is what it is." You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
Well, and it's kind of weird, though, because, President Obama does actually, for all the grief I give him, he does have a pretty good record of making deals. Like, just look at Bo Bergdahl.
I was about to say Bergdahl and the Guantanamo prisoners. There's no track record of Obama doing any good anywhere, whether it's Libya or Egypt or Syria or Afghanistan or Iran. You can just go down the line. Everything he has touched he has done damage. Or dealing with Russia, Ukraine, Crimea. You name a country and he has messed it up. And I have no confidence in this president, and I can't wait for this regime to be over.
Do you guys think that this is these types of moves are that fundamental transformation that he talked about right before his first election in 08? Because I think it is. He said that. We're 5 days away. We're going to fundamentally transform, and he certainly has done that. So in that sense, he has succeeded. And I don't know, Brian, I think you're right. There's the two options. I don't know how you can see it as anything other than by design. The groups they've backed, the ways they've intervened in some countries, and, you're selling guns here and you're doing this. It's just unbelievable.
ISIS, Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Here's the clip what you're talking about.
Moderate Syrian rebels.
Moderate Syrian rebels. Successful Cleveland Browns seasons. All right. Anyway, here's the quote that you're referencing.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Man, he had a lot more bass in his mixing board back in those days when he was going for the Martin Luther King kind of, like you get Hillary in the South and you listen to her and her stupid drawl and pandering. You go, oh my God.
Yep.
But this is the type of stuff that used to work back in the 40s and 50s and 60s. This is the old guard. This is the crap they used to do and get away with. So, I mean, it's just obvious to us now because we can instantly see a Periscope or a Snapchat or something on Facebook or something on Twitter from when somebody was in Tuscaloosa last night. Listen to what this clown said. Listen to this. And the next day you have 1.7 million people that have seen it. And it's a lead story on Fox and Friends, or Stephen Colbert's talking about it in his monologue. I mean, this is the old guard. This is the same old crap that we've been putting up with for so long. And it's funny, you sometimes hear some of the Democrats, whether it's Wasserman Schultz or these other clowns, just trying to put out there that there's a lack of diversity on the Republican side. And I mean, you would laugh if it wasn't so absurd. They literally have two 70-plus-year-old old guard, no idea, geriatric white people, which is the worst of all of it, by the way. They're up there trying to be this new regime, this voice of a new generation, like a Pepsi commercial, and they're farting dust. It's pretty incredible. Blake, tell me about the article you wrote about. Is it time to jump on the Trump bandwagon based on what you're seeing on the Democrat side and not much to choose from over there?
Well, it's that, but it also goes along with the snubbing of of Rand Paul and Carly Fiorina in the next debate. We got the big, the first Iowa, the first caucus is in Iowa. It's the big bellwether for the nation, and they're specifically targeting two people and saying, "Oh, your poll numbers aren't high enough," even though the numbers are pretty, negligible, if I can say that right, at that point. So I don't know how they're getting away with this stuff. And then you're looking at the characters in there, and you're thinking, well, of the people that are in the Republican field, those should be they should be up there, and you shouldn't really snub anybody until we've had one opportunity to see what the real results are. I mean, these are just these polls, these telephone polls. Who knows how they, reflect reality in real life, and you got to give them all one more shot, and then you can start, basing your debates, your future debates, off the real results, not off these random phone calls or however they conduct these polls. It's not fair. It's ridiculous, and they're robbing these people, and especially with Rand Paul, who's going to have a good following in Iowa. He's already got, precincts. He's got a big ground game going on there. He's got some momentum there. So why would they? I mean, I don't even want to get into the reasons why, but it just seems it's totally out of line. It doesn't make any sense. And the Democrats are totally wacky. So I did just throw some points out there, and the possibility. I mean, if you take Rand Paul away, who I think is would be my favorite. Then there's the real possibility that you back me into a corner. I will jump on the Trump bandwagon. He's not, McCain. He's not Romney. He's somebody I could get behind if I need to, and so I'm ready to join if and that's it. So we'll see how this thing plays out. Hopefully they let these two candidates appear on the main stage and let them make their final case, and we'll go from there.
What say you, Shawn?
Well, I mean, it was a great article that Blake wrote. I read it this afternoon when I saw that he linked to it.
Sure.
It was really good. It was really well done.
Yeah, I'm going to embed that on the New American Media and send that out as soon as we process the show, by the way, as well.
Yeah, and Brian, you had said about on one of these programs maybe a month ago or so, if I recall correctly, you said that people like the concept of Hillary Clinton. If I'm wrong there, let me know.
Yeah, the people are voting for the concept of Hillary Clinton to cross it off their social agenda checklist. Yep. It's,
I wonder if we're caught up a little in the concept of a Donald Trump. And I don't have an issue with that concept. I actually support that concept. To have somebody from the outside that really, not that he's not beholden to anybody because they all are, but to have somebody from the outside that's just straight up ain't a politician, somebody that, is just not it from that area. I could get behind the concept of it. Is he the best representative of that? I don't think so. I could think of several other people that I'd rather vote for, and it would be nice to have a third-party candidate that was from the outside that could get some momentum. But I like the concept of a Donald Trump because we can see. I mean, I just saw it just now on Drudge. I mean, Reuters rolling, have him at 39% and Cruz is second at 14.5. I mean, he's just kicking ass all over the place, all the polls. And if you look at some of the internal data on, different diverse populations that would vote for him, I mean, we could end up with a crazy Reagan-esque landslide if Trump somehow.
That's right. I saw what was it, Art Laffer? Is that the one who came out with that a couple days ago? Yep. He was saying that he could easily see winning 45, 46, 47 states in a massive landslide. Yep. But then again, I thought that could have happened in the last election. Sure enough, this guy gets it again. I couldn't believe the nation wanted 4 more of this stuff.
I think when it came down to it, I mean, the media did their job. They said, "Here's a evil rich white guy in Romney." But I mean,
I can't stand that he was white. By the way,
I know. Me neither. That's the worst part.
I
hate him for it.
You know what? Seriously, our country has had so many white presidents. It is just insane.
Yep.
Our country, white people are the worst. There's nothing but. By the way, I'm kind of channeling my inner Gavin McInnes. He plays these different. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's been on Red Eye and on a whole bunch of stuff.
I'm very familiar with him. I haven't seen Red Eye in a while since they've changed the format up a little bit. But
he becomes these characters.
He's still a good character on there.
Yeah, he becomes all these different characters. He's on so many different web series and so many different websites and shows. And but anyway, he kind of becomes this radical far leftist Che Guevara shirt wearing hipster doofus. And just railing about how white people are so bad. But no, I mean, really, we've reached the point where this president has been pushing to make it so that white people are bad. I find it ridiculous. It was so refreshing to talk with Larry Elder a couple days ago and hear from him some of the most commonsensical, well thought out, clever, introspective points and commentary on race relations in America, because I'll tell you what, if people were to just believe that everybody that looked like Obama thought like Obama, it would be a very depressing place.
Well, yeah, and you look at the fact, I mean, just the Democrat Party, their history, and the party of the KKK, the party of segregation, the party of anti-civil rights. I mean, it's been brilliant over the past 50 years how they've been able to just completely flip reality and sell this idea. It's fascinating to me that people they have no idea how evil that party was, 50 years ago, and what they stood for 50 years ago, and what their platforms were, and how the things they did to minorities, just disgusting. But they're brilliant, salesmen. They found a way to flip it around, and all of a sudden everybody's going, yeah, you're right. That evil Republican, man, I can't believe they were like that. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, Blake.
Yeah, Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah, Lyndon B. Johnson was pretty openly a racist. It seemed to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just wanted to push all that civil rights stuff and make all these people voters.
Yep.
Was really the agenda there. Well, although I do kind of consider myself to be like a Jefferson or JFK Democrat, but I have nothing in common with today's party, which has no identity and has gone so far left that. I don't even know what they are. I don't think anybody does. Not even their own party knows what their identity is.
Well,
but it certainly has nothing to do with JFK or Thomas Jefferson.
No, but you see Bernie Sanders coming on strong. Shawn, do you think Bernie could actually overtake Hillary to be the nominee? Do you think Hillary might get prosecuted? If she does, is Biden jump in? What do you make of that whole situation?
I could see her getting indicted, and I could see. I mean, Biden's already come out and said he regrets it every day, and he's only a year younger than Bernie, if I remember right.
That was fascinating to me too. I saw that and went, "Oh, Biden wants in. I think Hillary's going down." And I kind of think the Obama administration's trying to take Hillary out. I don't think they like each other. Call me crazy.
They hate each other. I think
You're right.
I think he used her to be able to help sell himself, and I think. To try and sell the party going forward, because I probably think that the Democrats realized they didn't have anybody else to put up except Hillary in 2016, so they brought her along and had her hold some high office and things like that. Not that she did a good job at all with selling arms in Benghazi and all that, but I could see
moderate rebels.
Go ahead.
Yeah, moderate rebels.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could see Bernie overtaking her, especially if the indictment comes down, and I don't think I think Bernie would be Biden too, to be honest with you. At that point, I mean, Move On just announced that they're going to they're supporting Bernie. Not surprising, but still,
that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge thing. I mean, it's a lot of money and a lot of people that they pay a lot of, $10 an hour wages to go knock on doors and get people to sign up illegally to vote. So, I could see him overtaking her, and I would love nothing more than to see a Cruz or a Trump debate Bernie or Hillary, because it would just be an absolute massacre. And those are really the only two on the right that I could consider voting for, would be Cruz Rand Paul, of course, but I just don't think they've screwed him over so bad. I don't think he's even going to have a chance to.
Well, and don't forget, Rand, he cut the deal with the devil. He was the one that endorsed. He turned his back on his dad's campaign and endorsed elsewhere, and he's been playing the game. He's been told, "Hey, kid, we can either destroy you, or you can kind of come here. Let me show you a few things. We'll groom you for this position." And look what they've done to him. And
I love Rand Paul, but when he endorsed McConnell and all that, that was just like, oh, come on, man! Like, that's the one thing you don't need to do,
Yeah, he doesn't need. He keeps his credibility. McConnell gains credibility. It would be a better scene. It was poorly handled.
He's a fellow Kentuckian senator. I understand. Yeah, but he does.
He's in a bad spot. He's in a bad position at that point. I get it. And he wants to have a more prominent role in the RNC nationally. And Blake, when we were at Politicon and got a chance to talk to Michael Steele, I kind of named that as the moment when I just stepped away. Michael Steele, of course, who used to be the RNC chair, and I just said, when Ron Paul was done dirty by the RNC and they changed the rules of the game. So even though he won a plurality of 5 states delegates, he won enough delegates in 5 states to qualify for an automatic convention speech. They literally traded his time for an empty chair with Clint Eastwood. It could not be any more obvious that was a big middle finger to everybody, saying, we're in power. Don't you dare mess with us. We have our system, and you're not going to work your way around us. This belongs to us. Thank you very much. It was a very obvious moment, so therefore, for that reason, people like me that have just abandoned, the Republican Party. I've never voted Democrat. I've understood the laissez-faire approach and libertarian leanings of the Democratic Party when it comes to social issues. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's the better of 2 bad options of policy choice, but in a country this large with so many different opinions, I think allowing a lot of these social decisions to come down to the individual and let them sort it out with God afterward, I kind of think that's the best way to govern the nation, although I'm personally a lot more personally conservative on some of these things. But it's the Democrats, the Republicans. I've never really understood why someone would vote Democrat other than those social issues. And the phrase "keep the Democrats out of the boardroom and keep the Republicans out of the bedroom," and that just rings so true to me right now. I was saying to Larry Elder the other day that I wish I could do a Build-A-Bear candidate. That I wish I could dress him up the way I want, and put these ears on, Mr. Potato Head. Here, put this lips. Put these these glasses. Here's your hat. Here, put these arms on. I like a lot. I like a couple of things about a lot of these candidates. It's like I wish I could get Trump's fighting spirit with some of Fiorina's polish. I wish I could get some of Christie's experience with some of Rand Paul's constitutionally protected civil rights.
Philosophies.
The philosophies. Christie did a lot of good things, but now he's pro-NSA, and it's like, no, Rand Paul is just against the massive spy apparatus, but the experience of being in law enforcement, maybe there's a different way to balance that. It's like, nobody's ever said you can't get information, but you need a judge to actively look at. There has to be charges against you. I think that's the main component where a lot of people say, no, you're not just, making a random sweep of everything and then determining after the fact if you have a criminal. You got to actually have evidence in order to then start snooping around, and it's backward. So, I like some of these things about the different candidates. I like a lot about Cruz. I'm not in his camp yet. I like about Trump a lot about Trump, but I'm not in his camp yet. I don't have a candidate particularly in this election, and it makes it interesting as we move forward, trying to figure out who we're ultimately going to back. And like you were saying, Blake, you wrote the article today. Is it time to jump on the Trump bandwagon? We will embed that. We'll put that at the opinion page, the opinion section at thenewamericanmedia.com, and we'll send it out on Twitter at American_media_. We'll put it out on Facebook, so you can do a search for The New American Media and like the page, or grab it off the right-hand side of thenewamericanmedia.com, which is our homepage, and, of course, subscribing at youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Shawn, it's time to go watch this State of the Union. Do you have any final words, or do you have any place where you would like people to stay in touch with you in the interwebs?
Well, I'd like, just as we go forward here, I'm hoping I can get on Blake's website with some blogs and things like that, but and maybe I'll be invited back here. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, and we can do this again, because pick any day of the week and you just scroll through some of the headlines, and it's unbelievable stuff every single day. Blake, tell us about your project, about what you're looking to accomplish, the best ways to stay in touch with you. Talk about your project and then the best ways to stay in touch.
Well, it hasn't started yet, but I'm hoping to be in Iowa in a couple of weeks for the first caucus, and then make my way around the South and the East Coast, catch some of the major events, some of the debates, a few of the caucuses, the big conventions, Republican, Democrat, Philly, and Cleveland. Maybe you can join me out there, Brian, for Cleveland or what have you. So we'll try to cover things on the road, try to run a daily podcast, try to devote as much time as I can to media work, blogging and vlogging and podcasts and memes and articles and all that good stuff, and try to hopefully make an impact and cause some influence on the election out there. I think this is one of the most important elections of our history, and I want to be involved in it as much as I can.
All right. Well, then, like I said, Blake and Shawn, thank you both for joining the program. Shawn, we'll see if we can do another one of these soon. And Blake, like I said, we'll put your article on thenewamericanmedia.com on the opinion section. Check out his blog, eccentricperspective.com, and also follow him on Twitter at eccentric99. Thank you guys both for joining us.
Thank you, Brian.
And for everybody out there in the TNAM radio universe, it's been a really interesting opportunity that we've been afforded. Thankfully, we've been afforded because of the wonderful advancements in technology. We're able to instantly communicate with each other. It's beautiful. I recommend highly that you consider devoting at least a little bit of your day every single day toward the cause of freedom and liberty, and standing up for those that can't stand up for themselves, and exposing corruption, and just trying to help come up with a way that we can all kind of get along on this planet and have a good time and not have to worry about murder and starvation and death and crime and pollution and all the garbage. That's what government's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be about hating your neighbor. It's supposed to be about looking at your neighbor and going, hey, we live on the same street. How do we make this the most kick-ass street possible? It's a big world out there, and not everybody in the world is an awesome person, so you got to maintain security while respecting individual rights. That's what we try to advocate here at the New American Media, and especially here on Agree to Disagree. So once again, thank you all for listening. My name's Brian Engelman. I appreciate you. I love you. We're going to go check out some of the State of the Union information. Congratulations to the Alabama team for winning your championship. Next year, go Buckeyes. Talk to you later. Peace.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to Agree to Disagree with Brian Engelman, and this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is the NewAmericanMedia.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really. Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. There are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed, because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets, come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats. They know. They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. Well, it doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.